All right, so I'm sitting here with Fostoria Councilman Don Manell, and we're going to talk about the Fostoria Vision 2020. And that vision is raising a splash pad for the city of Fostoria and for all the residents to use free of charge. Don, this has been a project that's been in the works for quite some years. Can you explain about what Vision 2020 is for the Fostoria?
Well, Vision 2020 is a nonprofit organization and it's a 501c3 organization that has been around for quite some time. The reason we're using Vision 2020 is so that all of the donors to the Splash Pad project can get a proper gift receipt for tax purposes. So we didn't want the money to go directly to the city because that means more work for the city finance department in separating it out, setting up a new budget, a line item, everything else. So we wanted to take advantage of Vision 2020, which is here in the Learning Center, and they are helping in a tremendous way, helping with writing letters, getting letters out, receiving the money, keeping track of the money, getting it into the bank, et cetera.
And one of the biggest things is, in the city of Fostoria, we stress about we want a pool, we want a splash pad, we want something for the kids to do in the summer. And through years of debating and community organizations getting together and collaborative between the city of Fostoria and nonprofits, they were able to come up with somewhat of a design right now for a splash pad. And last year, in the year 2021, our state reps were able to secure $150,000 from the state capital budget. Shout outs to Representative in the Senate, Bill Reinke, and our state House Representative, Gary Click, and the Wood County and Hancock County reps as well to help pass that budget. Once the city received that notification, then the city of Fostoria budgeted out $100,000 in their budget last year for
next year.
For next year.
This year.
This year, 2023.
Correct.
We're at the beginning of 2023.
Right.
So they put $100,000 in their 2023 budget for this project, and now that's where Vision 2020 comes in and the community comes in, and the goal is to raise $200,000.
The reason we need to raise $200,000 is twofold. First of all, the Fostoria Community Foundation contributed $100,000 if and only if the community raises $200,000. That will give us the amount of money that we budgeted for the splash pad based on estimates that were given to us by the engineering firm.
And what happens? What's the next project if we raise $200,000? What's the next step?
Well, the next step, when we have all the money in hand, the next step will be the design phase. And it will depend upon how much money we raise. If we are short of $200,000, we will have to shrink the project. I'm optimistic. I think we will raise the $200,000. And if we go over that amount, all of the money raised will go into the splash pad, and we will enhance the splash pad. I don't know if you've been around and seen some of the splash pads, but you can have very basic splash pads or you can have very nice splash pads, and we want to have a nice splash pad.
That is correct. We want a nice splash pad.
And one of the things we envision is having the splash pad be kind of a two-phase splash pad, one end of it being more of a splash sprinkle pad, if you will, for the younger children, and the other side of it having more of a soaking effect for the older children, so that maybe they get a bucket full of water dumped on them.
That would be pretty cool. And so we should not just stop at $200,000. We should continue, because again, like you said, if we raise more than $200,000,
it will be a nicer splash pad. There's a lot that goes into this. Of course, first we have to remove the swimming pool and the bathhouse and the concession stand. We've done studies about 4 years ago. Revamping that swimming pool is a $4 million project.
And the city of Fostoria does not have the funds for that.
They do not have the funds. And even if we did have the funds, and even if we did have the pool operating, we probably couldn't hire lifeguards. And the city of Bowling Green lost $65,000 last summer operating their swimming pool. We can't afford that. We're in fiscal emergency.
That's correct. And we want to get out of fiscal emergency.
Absolutely.
So having a pool would not be the positive effect of.
Well, the other advantage to a splash pad is we can open this in May and run it through September. It doesn't have to have a lifeguard. The water can be started when the participants show up, and it's safe. It should be a safe haven for children and families to participate. It also fits in very nicely with the summer rec programs that are being run by the city schools and the YMCA. It's a perfect fit.
The splash pad is awesome. I'm very supportive of the splash pad. And the good thing about being in the Fostoria community, you've been in the community for quite some time, so have I. Fostoria is very generous. So I believe raising the $200,000 is not going to be an issue.
I think we'll get there. I want to share with you a note I have. I reached out to a classmate from Fostoria, hasn't lived in Fostoria in over 50 years. He immediately wrote a check for $500, sent it to us, and he said, I think this is really important to support this project. I encouraged my sister and a few classmates to step up as well. His sister also contributed $500.
That's awesome.
It's a great story.
And they're not even from the city.
No, one of them lives in Michigan and the other lives in California.
But their grassroots are right here in Fostoria.
This is still home.
That's right, and that's good to see. That's good to hear. Once we raise the projects and we start the next phase, when could we possibly see this up and operating, this splash pad?
Well, I anticipate that 2023 will be the year of design and construction, and hopefully the splash pad will be open, if the weather's good, May 1st of 2024.
So we could see this all come to light and all come together, ribbon cutting, everything in spring of 2024.
I'm already planning on the ribbon cutting.
Awesome. And for those who don't know anything about a splash pad, what is a splash pad versus a pool?
Well, first of all, if you look at the history of splash pads, they've been around for a long, long time. I mean, almost in effect, if you go to the river and stand under the falls, you're in a natural splash pad. The evolution of them has been fantastic. Now, some splash pads it's basically water lines shooting up into the air coming out of the ground. And many of them are on concrete bases, and that just scares the heck out of me because I've seen these children playing in them, and the concrete gets wet and slippery, and the kids fall, and they hit their head, and the parents aren't watching, and it's just frightening to me. So what we conceive of is having a poured rubber foundation for the splash pad. And then the water can spray up out of the ground. It can spray up through tubes. It can spray up into a bucket that when it gets full, it tips over and spills water on the people. It can be in a post that, in a bridge type of thing that you walk under. It's just a fun way to play, and there's not enough child left in all of us, but it's a great opportunity. And then if we have the assets, potentially we can put LED lights on it so it can be used at night with lights.
That'd be pretty cool.
We can put a fence around it. We should put a fence around it, absolutely, to protect it. We'll put benches around it so that the parents can sit there and talk and watch their children play. And then put this in your hopper. At night, we can turn off the water, and maybe we can have a sock op out there.
That'd be pretty cool.
And we have a great parking lot there. It's in great shape. All we have to do is seal it and stripe it.
And the cool thing is, Fostoria has a lot of food trucks. We could have a food truck there.
You could have all sorts of events there. Absolutely.
I mean, you can even have a pre-4th of July party there, which would be nice.
You could do all sorts of things. I mean, anything you want to imagine out there is a potential. And I think it's going to be a great asset for the city and a great place for our children to spend some summertime and get a little cool in the hot weather.
That's correct, because it's going to be hot. This is a cool project. I'm eager to donate. How do I donate my funds to this project? Do I go online? Do I come in here into the Learning Center? Do I go to the city building? Do I go to a council meeting? How do I ensure that my financial donation can get to the 2020 event vision?
I would hope any of the above. Certainly you can come into the Learning Center. We also have a page out there on I believe it's on Facebook, that you can put funds into it. Our contributions range from a high of $25,000 to as low as $10. And this is not about getting all the $25,000 gifts. It's about getting a lot of $10 gifts because they all total up. And we're not asking anybody to contribute more than $25,000.
Here's a fun statistic. If every resident, we have 13,000 residents in the city of Fostoria, if every city resident donates $10, just $10, that's $13,000 right there.
That's correct, but about, better than half of those residents are young children. So I'd take half that from their parents.
Don, thanks for sitting down with me today and reaching out and talking to me about this splash pad, and what a wonderful community collaborative event, and a lot of hard work's been going on. So again, this has been in the works for a couple years now. It wasn't just someone started this in December of last year. This has been going on for quite some time.
No, it has been going on for a long time. It's a great desire for the city, and the hard work of the state representatives and State Senator Bill Reinecke getting that money for it, that's what allowed it to really take off. And also, now that we have the other commitments, we're going to get there.
That's good, and I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see Mayor Keckler working with the state and working with the community organizations to put this all together. So, again, it takes a community to make the community better, and that's what we are here in Fostoria.
Absolutely, and Mayor Keckler deserves a lot of credit because he's worked very hard behind the scenes to make this happen.
Good. Well, Don, I will see you in the next few months for a future update.
Sounds good. Thanks, staff.